Hey guys, welcome back. Emmanuel Aguilar, EA Fitness 10. Today I'm going to tell you guys about intermittent fasting. As you guys already saw in the preview, intermittent fasting is what I would call a bit of a lifestyle. So today I'm going to be addressing some of the questions I've been getting, and I'm going to explain to you guys how it works, what it does, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a personal experience with intermittent fasting because this is actually what I do. So, intermittent fasting, what is it? It is essentially a schedule or a lifestyle in which your fasting period, time where you're not getting any food, is much longer than your eating period. So when you are getting your food in and all that stuff. So for me, I think of it as a lifestyle. Okay? And so essentially the way it works is that we have time, right? Not to get philosophical, but time is kind of a man-made construct, so our body really knows periods, right? But so we have 24-hour days, and essentially 16 hours of the day we are going through our fasting period. Again, this is the time when we're not getting any food in. So when you're sleeping, you're fasting, and when you're just not consuming any food or calories, you're fasting, right? So over here, with these remainder 8 hours, this is what we call our feeding window. Okay. So one important thing to note is that before or during your feeding window is when you want to get your training in so that you actually have some fuel to feed from afterwards, after your training, so that you can get all your nutrients to go directly to that, or so you can utilize them later on in your fasting period, and that's so you're always ready to go. And of course, if you were to eat afterwards, well, imagine that you would be really hungry at night and you would not be able to really function the rest of the day when you wake up, and you still have to continue through that fasting period. For me personally, I break my fast at 2:30 or around that time p.m. and I, of course, end it 8 hours later at 10:30 p.m. So that means from 10:30 to 2:30, again, I'm fasting. I'm not eating any food, okay? And so essentially what this does is that it kind of works at the molecular level. So it works down at our cells, and really what this does is that it's giving them enough time to recover, absorb all the nutrients that they need, and this prepares them to be ready to fight off sicknesses later on. It helps them be more resilient and stronger, and it just overall helps you become more resilient, ready to take on, I guess, the environment if, you know, in case of emergency, if you're not eating or anything like that, right? So it helps with recovery. Okay. Resilient cells. And fighting off sickness better. So that makes sense, right? When our body doesn't have to worry about digestion or all these other bodily processes, it can just focus on recovery, and it makes us be ready to go whenever we do get sick, and it fights it off a lot more efficiently. So another thing about intermittent fasting that we have to kind of be aware of is that there is this thing called carb cycling. Carb cycling is actually really easy to understand. So in days that are more intense, for instance, let's say I go do leg day tomorrow and it's super heavy, I would want to get more carbs. I want to eat more carbohydrates because this is going to give me more energy to be able to perform that exercise, and even afterwards, it'll be able to help me recover, give me fuel for my fasting period, and help me prepare even for the next day. So of course this means that the opposite is true for less intense days. For instance, on TRX Tuesdays, I usually eat less carbs. Even though the TRX is intense exercise, I do it for a much shorter period of time. Therefore, maybe later on I need less carbs to recover, I need less carbs to fuel me for the rest of the day, but yet I will still be prepared for the next day. So intermittent fasting has actually some important research done to it, and it's kind of fascinating. Some of the things that are associated with intermittent fasting is recovery and performance. So endurance is a big component to what has been positively affected by intermittent fasting. It shows that people actually are able to gain more endurance and keep it for a longer period of time under intermittent fasting. So we adapt our bodies to become more resilient, to be more prepared, and therefore when we do take breaks in our training, maybe for a longer period of time, maybe you go on vacation like I did, when you come back from that, you're able to get back on track a lot more quickly and efficiently as opposed to not being in intermittent fasting, okay? Now, it is important to keep in mind that other people actually work intermittent fasting a lot longer than others. So for instance, some people maybe only do it for 7 hours, and others who go a little bit more extra mile maybe only have a feeding period of 6 hours. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Maybe it's just what fits into their schedule. Maybe they're just pushing the boundaries of the body a little more, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Some people function like that. This kind of diet's actually great for someone who's in the bodybuilding kind of world, because you're fasting, maybe you go do your training, but afterwards all the food you're ingesting is going towards that growth, going to that hypertrophy, and so of course it'll help you in the long run. And again, it'll help you with your training performance as well. So now that we've covered all this, I want to tell you guys a little bit about kind of my personal experience with intermittent fasting. As far as doing this, I actually do like it. I find that it is very convenient because of my schedule. So like I mentioned, at 2:30 to 10:30 is when I do eat. So during this time, those 16 hours, of course, I'm sleeping. It's after 10:30, so maybe I'm just doing a little bit of schoolwork, but then I'm sleeping, so it's not something I'm worrying about or thinking about very much. And usually I will eat right at 2:30 and then go to the gym, so I do have a little bit of digestion going on, a little bit of fuel coming in, aside from that mobilization of fats and whatnot that I do with my coconut oil, right? And when I come back, I'm able to fuel myself even more after intense training, and I'm back on track. So there's that convenience aspect. Another thing is that there is a little bit of negative connotation to this, because of course when you're going without eating for a long period of time, your body does crave food, your body does want to get digestion going, but you're kind of telling it, no body, we're not eating yet, we're holding off for a little longer. And so one question that I get asked, well, isn't that a really long period of time without eating anything? And again, not to get philosophical with you guys, but breakfast is kind of a man-made construct. So our body understands the periods, and it knows that for 16 hours I'm not going to eat, but for 8 hours I will eat. So my breakfast comes at 2:30, right? So is it a long period of time? Is it bad? No, again, no. I'm allowing my time, my cells to recover, to be prepared, to be ready to take on the day, become more resilient by telling them, no, we can't have food yet, too bad, right? And the thing is about intermittent fasting, at least the way I learned it, is that there's a bit of a philosophy behind it. So we have all this access to food whenever we want it, but people out there in the world don't. So this kind of helps you actually be conscious and care about other people's situations as well, because maybe parts of Asia, maybe in Latin America, people just can't eat whenever they want. They have to go hungry for extended periods of time, and so this makes you kind of be a little conscious about it. I know I'm talking about performance and athletics and all this, but it does kind of keep you conscious about the world issues, and I think it's a nice thing to definitely care about, because we should all strive to help that, right? But yeah, again, so this intermittent fasting, it's a lifestyle in which your fasting period is longer than your eating period, and it works out for cells. You have to work with carb cycling as well. And another question I usually get asked is, well, in your fasting period, what are you allowed to have? And for me personally, I really just stick to water, and I have this tea that I brought back from Argentina called mate, which actually, has a lot of caffeine, so it gets my metabolism going. It really kicks my butt. And of course, as I mentioned in my nutrition video, during this time, I will also do my teaspoon of coconut oil with some cayenne pepper needed. And one thing that I've been playing with it on is kind of making it more of a cocktail. So I will take some warm water, I'll pour the coconut oil in there and the little bit of cayenne pepper, and I just drink it. It's actually not bad, and I actually feel that I'm just ready to take on the day. I feel great even though I'm fasting and I haven't had any food. This would be absolutely awesome for someone who's looking to definitely build up more discipline in their nutrition or their diet, their eating habits, because it kind of keeps you honest. If you really want to be on intermittent fasting, you can't be up at midnight looking for some snacks, because it's just not your feeding period. You'd be ruining all that you're trying to accomplish. And especially for me, I have found that it's actually been good at that. I've definitely built up my discipline in terms of what I eat, because when you're going for a long period of time, the last thing you want to do to break your fast is to eat snacks. You would just rather have a good, proper, nutritious meal. And it definitely helps in that term too. So this is something I would definitely recommend for someone who's looking to switch up their diets and improve their discipline with foods. However, I will say that you will definitely have to work on getting adapted to it, because at first it is kind of hard. For example, when I started doing it, it was the winter time and it was cold, so it was hard for my body to stay cold, and I would get cold and feel jittery, and I would sit in class and just be thinking about food, and it does kind of make you feel down. And now that it's a little warmer, it's not the case anymore. I just feel great, I'm ready to go. But there certainly is an adaptation period, especially when you jump right into it. You will feel really hungry that first week. After a while, it honestly does die down a lot, but just be ready for that. And if you guys have any questions regarding this, you want me to go a little more in depth, I'll be happy to do so. If you guys want to see me talk about anything else up here, or even give you guys a workout, leave it in the comments below. But thank you guys for watching. This was Intermittent Fasting.